5 minutes before 11 o'clock. A good friend from a long time ago is in the studio. Gil-Schor is here. Robin listed you as a political activist. I guess that applies to today's visit.
Oh, yes.
We're talking about marijuana and the legalization of it, whether it's for medicinal purposes or recreational purposes or both. There are two bills. I think the two in Florida are just about medicinal purposes. So, and Robin has here Senate Bill 528, House Bill 683. Gil-Schor. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, everyone.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
You're looking good.
Oh, well, thank you very much, sir. I'm trying to live the healthy life.
Are you living in Gainesville now?
No, I live in the Ocala Forest area.
Oh, you do?
Just north of Ocklawaha on Highway 40.
Oh, okay.
In between here and Juniper Springs.
You've always been very political.
I am always political.
Politically concerned. I don't know
Absolutely,
what
yes.
else to say.
Well, you know, the alternative is apathy, and I can't do apathy. So.
Do you like labels? Are you okay with labels?
I don't really like labels. I like good policies. I know,
but like, do you identify yourself as Republican, Democrat?
I don't identify myself
Libertarian?
as anything right now except common sense.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
When you vote, does the R or the D make any difference to you at all?
I would rather have an honest Republican than a crook Democrat, and I would rather have an honest Democrat than a crook Republican.
There you
That's where I stand.
Do you ever vote for a third party candidate?
I did that for many years. I'm kind of torn about that now because you end up. You know, there's the idea that you throw your vote away and that it's going to be this way or that way. And so then you get pushed into that, you know, do I want to make a difference or do I want to make a statement? And so I've been voting, I voted for 20 years third party. And this last few years I've been voting with the parties. So.
Does that include the local races too? Do you ever try to give the local third party guy
you know,
a shot?
my good friend is Susie Heimbachel, who was a councilwoman here in Ocala, and I worked on her first campaign where she won, and I worked on her second campaign where she lost. And you know, she's an honest person.
I can't remember. Is she a third-party candidate?
No, she's a libertarian-leaning Republican.
Okay, but on the ballot it would say
on the ballot she was Republican, I think.
Oh, she was. Okay,
yes, she was a Republican.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, let me do just a quick disclaimer that I'm not a doctor and I'm not a lawyer. So please don't take anything I say as either medical or legal advice. And while I am a volunteer with the organization United for Care, my opinions are, of course, as always, my own.
So the first thing we need to have an answer to is what is United? What is it called?
United for Care.
What is that?
It's People United for Medical Marijuana. It's a local organization or a statewide organization that has been responsible for putting Amendment 2 on the 2014 ballot, and we got it just short of the goalpost. We got the signatures collected. We got it past the Supreme Court, which the Supreme Court has to say, well, is this going to be legal or is it not legal? So we got past that threshold, but we needed 60% of the vote to pass the constitutional amendment. We got 57.6%, rounded up to 58%. Okay. So we won, you know, in today's polarized political climate, I'd consider that a landslide victory, but we still lost.
We still lost.
We got 500.
Remind me who the attorney is in Orlando.
That's John Morgan.
Right.
And
what's his role in this?
Well, John Morgan has been the main funder of this campaign.
He has somebody on his staff that needs this?
His personal connection to it is his brother.
His brother, okay.
Was in a terrible accident, I believe, in his teen years, and is quadriplegic, I think.
Oh, wow.
And is in all kinds of pain all the time. And he's doing this, for his brother, but for all the other people out there that are in that situation. And that's why I'm doing this too, because I know a lot of people who are in that situation that are in chronic pain, that are going through chemotherapy, and this provides genuine relief for them, and it does so in a manner that is safer than the narcotic drugs like OxyContin that are available.
Okay. Can I ask you a couple questions?
Sure.
The first one is, if we pass a law that says medicinal marijuana is legal in Florida, is the marijuana dispensed as a pill? Is it dispensed as a cigarette? How is it actually dispensed?
Well, that's one of the things that's being discussed in these two competing bills here.
Okay.
Now, ideally, the constitutional route has been pursued because the legislators in Tallahassee have been sitting on their hands on this issue for many years. So the constitutional amendment is the way the people can enact their voice and push this issue forward. The ideal situation, though, is that the legislators should get together, make a common sense, compassionate policy for medical marijuana in the state of Florida, pass it, and then the whole organization from United for Care can say a job well done sign up in front and fold up shop, and we can go home. Because that's the goal here, is to get a compassionate use of this product to the people who really need it. So let's see, where am I going now?
Well, I was asking about how it's implemented. Let me tell you why I'm asking. I think the average anti-marijuana person would probably be okay with this bill if it said the way the medicinal marijuana will be dispensed is through a pill. I think when you say it's going to be dispensed through marijuana cigarettes, that's when they say, I don't want that.
Right, and I'm going through my notes here. There is one legal medical marijuana patient in the state of Florida right now. And he went through, decades ago, through a massive fight with the federal government to get the medical marijuana that he needs. His name is Irvin Rosenfeld. And he is a stockbroker. He is a very successful man. He is living in Fort Lauderdale right now. And he was diagnosed with a terrible disorder where his bones grow these tumors. And they're jagged tumors, so every time he moves, the tumors cut his joints and tendons. And purely through accident, he was trying to fit in with his friends. Purely through accident, he discovered that smoking marijuana alleviated. Yeah, that's what his story. It's on YouTube. He's very vocal, and he noticed that he was able to sit up for a long period of time, which he normally wasn't able to do. And so he went through this enormous legal fight with the federal government, and now at the taxpayer's expense, they mail to him 300 joints, fat marijuana cigarettes every month, and he smokes 10 of them per day, and he goes about his life. He handles millions of dollars worth of transactions every day, and he's an outstanding citizen, and he probably wouldn't be here with us today if not for that, because the marijuana not only manages his pain, it also seems to retard the growth of the tumors. So we have this gentleman here. So there's that idea, and in fact, the Florida Sheriff's Association, which is one of our strongest opponents in the previous campaign, released a statement saying, they're okay with medical marijuana in certain circumstances, but they don't want it to be smoked. And if you listen to this gentleman, and anyone can go on YouTube and search his name.
So are you telling me that if he took it in pill form, it wouldn't have the same effect on him?
That's what he says.
Okay.
In fact,
I'm just trying to understand it.
There's a lot of different methodologies for taking it. There's edibles, which is, they have cookies and brownies, and they even have gummy bears right now, which that's its own issue, because then you get someone that's looking at something that looks like candy. And that's something that needs to be regulated.
A good point.
That needs to be regulated.
That's a good point, yeah.
They're having some issues in Colorado with that right now. And that's why, outright legalization is one issue, but medical marijuana seems like a very simple question to answer. It's less harmful than that OxyContin, and it provides relief, and it does so in a manner that's safer. An interesting statistic, and we have 24 states that have medical marijuana laws right now. In those states, when people can access medical marijuana for pain relief instead of OxyContin, which is dangerous, addictive, and deadly, deaths from those opiate overdoses go down by 25%. Now here in Florida, we have about 3,000 deaths from OxyContin overdoses every year. That would translate into 700 lives saved every year with a reasonable, common sense medical marijuana policy.
Wow. So you're making a good case for it.
I'm trying.
I hope. Let's see. The questions I had was pill versus smoking. It sounds like that's not decided yet. But your one guy says that pills wouldn't work, smoking does.
He has a vaporizer, and according to him, that the actual smoking gives him more pain relief.
Better than the vaporizer.
Better than the vaporizer. And now here he is. He's a fully functioning member of society.
Right.
Now, this guy had resources. He has a family member that was on the board of Johns Hopkins Medical Center in Maryland. And so he got all the big guns to come out for him to win this fight. The average person doesn't have his resources. And that's why, John Morgan's going forward. I'm going forward. And
when we came around last time, I hope Robin doesn't mind me speaking, but we both voted for it. And I'll tell you what really turned our mind around was there was a child who had epilepsy in the news, and the child's epilepsy was greatly helped with medicinal marijuana, but they had to take the child to another state to do this.
Yes.
Wherever it was legal.
No, I have a very close friend that I've known since high school who has a morphine pump implanted in his chest. And you look at his shirt and there's a big square thing sticking there. He can have that, but the state won't let him have medical marijuana. And not only that, that if he tried to use medical marijuana off the books, via the illicit route, that they could take away his morphine from him then, which he kind of needs both. But if he could use a little bit of medical marijuana.
So how do you, when you say medical marijuana, though, does it automatically mean both smoking and pills and eating?
Well, again,
does it mean all of the above?
Again, you know what I think? I think we need to let the doctors and the patients decide that, not law enforcement officers and not bureaucrats in Tallahassee. Once we decide that, yes, marijuana is medicine.
Oh, and you know this probably, you don't need me to tell you this, but what we've heard from law enforcement officers is they would rather arrest somebody for marijuana than any other narcotic or even alcohol, because that's the easiest person to arrest. And they feel bad arresting the person because it's just marijuana.
Well, that's another thing where an alcohol is tied to an increase in domestic violence, was one of the side issues. I've read studies that show that couples that smoke marijuana have lower.
Yeah, except for when there's no Doritos in the house. Then I understand.
Exactly.
Then I understand it's a big problem.
It's a problem.
Yeah. Where are the Doritos?
I know.
I had them last night.
You hid them from me.
So anyway, but that is the nexus of these two bills that we were talking about.
All right.
Where in HB 683 is very restrictive, prohibits any kind of smoking. And it narrows the list of treatable conditions, I think, too restrictively. If the Florida legislature passes that bill, which would be a step forward, I would say we're probably still going to go forward with this constitutional amendment and get it on the ballot in 2016. And we're going to use the next year and a half plus to educate the voters and pass our amendment.
Gary, you do your job well. I will ask you some more questions when we come back. Plus, we have a listener on hold. So for whoever the listener is, just be patient with me. You'll be up next after the break. We'll take the break right now and be right back with Gary Schor.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Clouds and a few sunny breaks today, becoming increasingly windy and cooler than recent days with a brief shower or two, mainly in the afternoon. The high today 62 to 66. Tonight's partly to mostly cloudy, breezy and chilly with a brief shower or two, lows in the 50s. Tomorrow mostly cloudy and breezy with a couple of showers. Highs tomorrow from 66 in the northernmost part of the zone to 75 in the southernmost part. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Pay your taxes, eat your vegetables, watch your weight, mow the lawn, clean the house. We all have stuff we don't want to do. Isn't it about time you did something you wanted to do? Like getting your pilot's license? At Ocala Aviation, they make it fun and easy, and you can start by taking one of their discovery flights. For only $99, you get to go up in the airplane with an FAA-certified flight instructor and actually fly the plane yourself. It's a perfect way to see if flying is for you. And once you get that ultimate feeling of freedom, Ocala Aviation can train you to get your pilot's license. Ocala Aviation also offers commercial flight training for those looking to make a career change and enter the world of commercial aviation. Ocala Aviation is conveniently located at the Ocala International Airport. So if you're ready to start your adventure, stop by or give them a call today. 861-7484. That's 861-7484. You'll be glad you did. I know I am. Ocala Aviation. Call today. 861-7484.
Hi, I'm Seth with AA Lockdock Security. Have you ever thought about the locks or security on your house or business? Have you ever wondered why the keys to your new car cost so much? Well, at AA Lockdock Security, we can help with securing your valuables. We can even replace those expensive transponder keys. We can give you the knowledge that no one else will. Call AA Lockdock Security at 867-1965. That's 867-1965.
Let's face it, nowadays it can be hard to find American-made products, and that's something that Cabinet Sales of North Florida is well aware of. That's why they're an authorized dealer of Wellborn Cabinetry, family-owned and American-made since 1961. Cabinet Sales of North Florida is your answer for complete turnkey kitchen remodels and whole house cabinetry. Their cabinets are finished with solvent-based enamels for a long-lasting finish that's second to none. Available in an incredible selection of door styles and colors to choose from to turn your dream kitchen into a reality. In-house design design, and drawing services are available. Come by and see our displays for yourself at the Floors of the Villages, 3935 County Road 216 in Oxford, or Exquisite Design Kitchen and Bath in Bellevue, right across the street from the Bellevue Library. So whether you're looking for bookcases, kitchen, bath, or outdoor kitchen, Cabinet Sales of North Florida is your one-stop source of quality cabinets. For a free estimate, call 352-427-2647. That's 352-427-2647. Cabinet Sales of North Florida.
All right, 10 minutes before 11 o'clock. Gil-Schor is here. Before we get back to our discussion about medicinal marijuana being legalized in the state of Florida, real quickly, there is the Ocala Homeless and Needy Veterans Stand Down happening right now at Tuscaloosa Park. Go down there, especially if you are homeless or you know a homeless veteran, homeless and needy veterans and their families who are living on the streets or who do not have permanent housing will qualify appropriately by the Veterans Affairs for free access. Veteran status must be verified by the VA by presenting a DD-214 or a VA card with government-issued photo ID. The stand down is today and tomorrow, by the way, from 8 a.m. tomorrow till 4. It's going on right now till 4 this afternoon. So go down to Tuscaloosa Park if you want to help them out. If you know somebody who's homeless or you can give a ride to a homeless person, maybe help that person out as well. All right, Gil-Schor is here. We're talking about medicinal marijuana. And Gary, you've had somebody waiting on hold for a long time. Let me go to that call real quickly. Good morning. Thank you for holding on. You're on the air now with Gary.
Good morning. Good morning. My thoughts on the whole thing is that I'd rather see it as a law which can be perfected each year as flies turn up in the ointment, as opposed to a constitutional amendment which can only be altered by another constitutional amendment. That's just my view on the situation.
And thank you for bringing that up, because I did want to ask Gary about that.
And I'll bring on.
Thank you, and thank you for waiting. Yeah, and what is your statement before that it has to be...
Ideally, the caller is absolutely right. Ideally, the legislature should not sit on their hands on this issue. Ideally, the legislature should look at the 58% of Floridians that voted for this and enact a compassionate, common sense policy that lets it get into the hands of the people who really need it and keeps it out of the hands of the people who don't. That's what we really want here. So I agree with the caller. The only thing I can say is that you can look at Amendment 1, which just passed with 75% of the vote. A constitutional amendment is a broad structure. It's, we want this. And then that constitutional amendment goes to Tallahassee, where the politicians and the agencies and the bureaucrats hash out how it's going to be implemented. Now, they have enormous control over that. And, so what's going to happen with Amendment 1 is still very much up in the air. And the same thing would have happened had Amendment 2 passed, that Tallahassee would have still had enormous power to manipulate and fill in those blanks. And the new amendment is more tightly written. For instance, it specifically says a doctor cannot prescribe medical marijuana to a child without a parental consent. It specifically says that the
well, isn't that true for all medicines, though?
Yeah, it is already true, but I'm just saying that that's
Okay.
that was one of the big attacks that was used in the attack ads against this. Now, we had 90% of the funding for medical marijuana came from within the state, and 90% of the funding for those attack ads came from out of state. So that tells you who the grassroots is.
I wonder why they don't want it. Or those who are opposed to it, what is their statement?
Well, Sheldon Adelson is a funny character because on the one hand, he was the guy that bankrolled he's one of the richest men in the world, so he has almost bottomless pockets. He funded $6 million of the campaign, the attack ads against medical marijuana. But coincidentally, at the same time, his hospitals in Israel are performing some of the groundbreaking medical marijuana research. So if you ask me, there's a little bit of crass political dealing going on behind the scenes there that I don't think we really have time to get into. But suffice it to say that the support for it was indigenous to the state, and the opposition was mostly external.
And you do have another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with Gil-Schor.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is Susan. My question is this. You had mentioned earlier about the gentleman in Florida that has that is currently using the medical marijuana. Did I hear you correctly when you said that at the cost of the taxpayers, he is being provided his medical marijuana?
Yes, that is correct. That it is grown in a federal facility, I think in Louisiana, and it is shipped to him monthly in a tin containing 300 marijuana cigarettes every month, and that it's provided by the federal government.
Okay, so does that mean if we are able to pass medical marijuana in the state of Florida, does that mean that everyone who qualifies for it, it's going to be taxpayer dollars that are paying?
I do not believe so. That's not the case in any of the other states that have medical marijuana. I believe that was just a special arrangement that he worked out with his lawsuit in order to accommodate his special needs. But this man's health concerns are not so different from many, many other people in the state, and other people in the state who do not have the money for those high-powered lawyers and those extensive courtroom battles that he went through. So that's why I'm here, and that's why United for Care is here. Anyone that is interested in this issue can go on the website unitedforcare.org. You can read up on this yourself, and you can also download the petition and send it in.
All right. Did you have another question?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Appreciate the call. So that's what kind of where I was going to go as we get close to the end here. So the website is again?
The website is unitedforcare.org.
Okay.
And
is that the only issue they're behind?
This is their only issue.
Really?
It's it was originally called People United for Medical Marijuana. But yeah, United for Care. This is their key issue. This is their only issue. And like I said, if the state does the compassionate and reasonable thing, SB 528. That's another thing people can do, is they can write their elected representatives.
When are they voting on this?
It's all still being debated and going through its committees, so I'm not sure exactly when the vote is coming up. But I know that the bill has been filed. And it was just filed in this last few months, in this last legislative session. And but if you let your elected representative know that you think this bill is a good thing, and we think 528 is pretty close to where we need to be.
So the last time when the public voted on this, what didn't win? I know it didn't win, but what didn't win? Was that an amendment?
Yeah, we had an amendment. It was Amendment 2 on the ballot. And it's very similar to the current amendment, but there was a lot of criticism.
So how is there something for them to vote on in Tallahassee when we voted against the amendment? I don't understand.
Well, those are two different things. One is a piece of legislation in Tallahassee that the elected representatives get to vote on. The other was a constitutional amendment that the people get to vote on.
Okay.
So again, we lost. We lost with 58%. So.
Wow. Okay. So if you had your way, you would want us to vote or tell our elected officials.
Ideally,
but I guess what I'm getting at here is if it lost last time, wouldn't our elected officials vote the same way, or has anybody changed their mind?
Well, we lost. We lost with 58%.
Was there something about the way it was written that stopped some of them from voting for it?
I think that there was a lot of unfair criticism that was levied against it. And again, that was the issue of medical providers giving marijuana to minors. That was the accusation that was made in the attack ads, and it wasn't true, because medical ethics and state law both would prevent any medical provider from doing that type of service for a child without the parents knowing about it. Now, it didn't prohibit children from having medical marijuana, because as Robin mentioned earlier, some of those children with the seizure disorders are very much helped by it. And so you want to be able to get it to the people who need it.
Well, and the part of the smoking, just real quickly, this is the only... Again, I don't think the law, the government should be part of this, but I mean, we're already aware that any smoke in your lungs is no good.
Right.
And if you could put smoke, I mean, if you could take the element or the whatever it is in the marijuana that helps you into a pill rather than having to inhale smoke.
There's a company called Wright Pharmaceutical that there was until, and we just had George Harrison's birthday. George Harrison died from a very terrible form of brain cancer.
And the Beatles killed one of his trees. Did you see this?
I did not see that. But anyway, he died of a form of brain cancer that is now treatable with this new drug that's coming out, made from marijuana by a company called Wright Pharmaceutical.
Gary, as always, you are very passionate about whatever it is you come in here for. Thank you for being in here today.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you again, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Keep bicycling.
I am.
This is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. Investigators are spreading out across part of southeastern Missouri after multiple shootings.
We're currently working 6 active scenes, including the location in Shannon County where the suspect was found deceased.
Sergeant Jeff Kinder of the Missouri Highway Patrol saying there were 9 victims total. The